The Fearless Podcast, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Fearless Podcast. We are at episode 42.
Episode 42, and it's good to be here.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Yeah.
Well, we had our last deep freeze snap, like always happens, to disappoint fruit growers in Northeast Texas. Wasn't that bad. It's a couple hours.
No snowpocalypse.
Everything's worse for wear, but
yeah,
we're going to survive. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. So, all right, y'all. Episode 42. We're going to get into Around the Farm. So let's jump right into it. What's going on around the farm?
Around the farm, it's been doing amazing. As we were just talking about the freeze, it was a little bit worrisome there because everything was blooming really early this year, which is great because it means we're going to have fruit a little bit sooner this year. But the kind of awesome thing about them blooming, we had a couple weeks of perfect weather and then it dipped and got a little bit chilly there, but everything had already been pollinated and the flowers are already falling off anyway. So that's cool. Been getting loads and loads of rain. So that's been a big blessing. Over at the ranch property, the grass is growing incredibly well. Also around the farm news, I think a couple podcasts back when I was on there, I was talking about how we had soil samples done.
Yeah.
And then on the live stream, I announced that we got our soil samples back. And yeah, so that's really exciting. We got to go ahead and bite the bullet and get them to come on out here and get some rabbit fertilizer on a couple of the places. Yep. So that's super exciting.
We're going to do rabbit manure and
lime.
Liquid lime and rabbit manure. And then I'm going to start experimenting with the compost tea.
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to be really cool. Also, what else have we been doing around the farm? Started up lawn mowing. Again, the grass has been growing really good. So started that up. But other than that, it's just been kind of same old. I think since the last podcast, we did a lot of brush clearing over in the brushier parts of the homestead. Been doing that. Still have a couple days worth of rental time. So maybe in another couple weeks, I'm going to go ahead and bring the shredder back over here and do some more shredding over here.
Well, there's also some really big farm news because we have a couple cows that
that's another one.
We were able to
about that.
Procure a processing date, and so we do have a couple cows available. We were able to secure our cow. And so y'all ran that to the I should have got something to drink.
I know.
We ran that to the microprocessor, and then we have 2 more cows that are available, and we have a processing date. So if any of y'all have been waiting, I think we're going to send it out on our email list as well. But I might.
So if you are interested in picking up some beef, head on over to the TexasBoys.com. We have a page all set up on there to make it super easy for y'all. We sell whole cows, half of cows, and quarter of the cows. I know that we were doing it a couple months back, and we actually had to put a pause on the whole entire thing because we were starting up our construction company and then the sawmilling company, and we just had to put our beef company kind of on the back burner for a little bit, try to figure out how we were going to incorporate that in. And I think we've kind of figured out the logistics, and we're just going to kind of slowly roll into it. So we have 2 cows up right now, and you can go ahead and purchase a share of a cow. And anyway, so that's a big update. That's another big update. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that's great. All the blueberries are doing amazing that you planted. They all bloomed this year. So that's really cool. And then everything's just been leafing out. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for Around the Farm.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else.
It's gonna be a good year. I think this was it for the big freeze that
Yeah.
usually happens.
Yep.
So it'll be exciting. It'll be neat, and we'll see 5 or 6 or 7 years of our labor. And
Yeah.
see what kind of fruits we can literally harvest from the fruits of our labor. So
Literally.
that's kind of exciting.
It is really exciting.
So as far as our next segment, health check, let's do a health check. So
Yeah. Health check for me is really awesome. I've been able to kind of skirt around this sickness that went around. It kind of hit everybody.
For the 45th time?
For the 8 billionth time. It hit our whole entire church. It's a hit everybody. Once again, the whole entire United States has just went through their little weird bug sickness thing. And on top of it, it's definitely allergies and pollen too.
During the health check, let's talk about this. I think
Sure.
we mentioned it on a live stream.
Okay.
But for all of y'all that are completely unaware,
Okay.
Of course we know that weather, okay, I'm not going to get into chemtrails or anything like that. But on the Weather Channel app, you can now how do they word it?
I'm pretty sure okay. Hey, guess what? I didn't tell you about this.
This just in.
Google Maps. Now just put it in there. Little sneaky. Go on Google Maps.
Here we go.
Left-hand corner, real small little thing. It says, I think it's something, but it'll say air quality, right? You click on that. Then it pops up the whole United States and it shows you the air quality of the whole entire United States. That's a little bit, right there.
Oh, AQI.
And there's and then if you click on that, then it shows you the whole United States air quality.
But that's air quality. So that's okay.
No.
I thought there
no, that's different. No, that's different. Okay. Then you have the weather app on, I think it's pretty much
Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel. So like weatherchannel.com or whatever.
Yeah.
Like one of the main ones.
Weatherchannel.gov.
And they either
Weatherchannel.gov.
either James, was it
.gov.
Was it flu and virus? How did they word it? Was it flu and virus percentage for the day?
Yeah, it's flu and virus risk.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now for any of y'all, so if you have any of these like weird normies, probably like you're like the rest of us.
Sure.
We all have like
family
basically
members.
80% of our family are like weird normie like TV watchers.
Yep. CNN.
So now they'll be able to like comfort their immune system by checking with weatherchannel.gov. And
how about no?
Yeah, how about no? And if you hopefully you understand the joke of weatherchannel.gov, but if you don't understand the joke, we don't have time on this podcast to explain it to you.
No.
But maybe on one of our 4-hour extended version podcasts we can explain it to you.
Yeah.
But so they're doing that now. So the same people that explain this whole like rising sea levels and New York City is going to be underwater and hockey stick and Al Gore and polar bears are dying and all this stuff. And, the beachfront was going, Florida doesn't, Florida no longer exists because those sea levels have risen. Those same people are the same people that are now going to tell you if you step out of your home, what percentage or possibility
risk
of flu or virus. So now you can take a calculated risk.
There you go.
And if you don't want to leave the house, you can blame weatherchannel.gov.
Yeah.
And
so instead of taking a rain check, you could take a flu and virus check. There you go.
There you go. Touche. On call.
So anyway, health check. I was able to negate this month's whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of it had to do with pollen too. So it was like pollen on top of
definitely pollen.
The monthly, stuff that happens to everybody now.
But since I went carnivore, it almost completely negated my allergies. But I have not been able to get around this thing. And
like just like
goes
your
and comes
respiratory
back. Yeah. Goes and comes back. Goes
thing.
and comes back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible.
It's been a while. So
even while being on the carnivore diet, on a clean diet,
yeah,
you know.
But I am back to, other than the sinus thing.
Okay.
I am back to zero inflammation. So
that's
back
good.
and neck are
that's
totally
awesome.
clear.
Cool.
And so yeah, carnivore is still working good. Maintaining an ideal body weight. Continue to do my hangs and do one arm hangs, and I'm now to where I can do one arm hangs. I can hang with my left arm with
that's pretty good.
The bum shoulder. So
that's awesome.
I could always hang with my right, so I can fully suspend myself on my left grip.
Wow, that's cool.
So that's a definitely. I'm, like I said, still with the range of motion deal, working on that. That's not, you know. And another thing. So another thing I've done. I don't know if I explained this before or not. I listened to a fella from the UK, and he referenced Ken Berry, and he had several doctors tell him that he needed a hip replacement. And so, in addition to the carnivore diet, he added collagen, and he added what else am I'm taking the sulfur. I'm taking the it's glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM. So I'm doing collagen and the glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM. And so I'm going to keep, the potential thought is this guy says that he regrew his cartilage in his hip. And I know everybody, and even having Sean Baker on, you know, I ask these guys and they say no, but I'm supplementing it. I mean, what do I have to lose? It's not expensive.
Very true.
So I'm supplementing heavily with the collagen.
Okay.
And all the joints are feeling great. All of my inflammation is still gone in my joints. No tennis elbows. No heel spur stuff. So that's all super clear.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick with the old carnivore diet, and
that's cool.
Having tons of success. So
that's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
That is,
I think that's health check.
That is the health check. There you go. All right. And so would like to talk about precious metals. If you're looking for precious metals, please give Stacey over at Financial Prepper a call. The number is 318-564-5823, and tell her the Texas Boys sent you. They have very competitive pricing, discreet shipping. Gold and silver continuing to rise, not quite like Bitcoin. But you know, so now's the time to act if you are looking to diversify your portfolio.
Oh yeah. There you go. And also, if you want to pick up some awesome whole ingredient foods, go on over to thetexasboys.com, where we have unpasteurized, unvaccinated honey over there, raw honey. We have it in 5-pound, 1 pounds, creamed honey, all types of different really neat stuff over there. We also have a large selection of bulk teas that we sell. We sell a large variety of different coffees, flavored coffee. Also, really big news, CBD coffee. Everybody's been loving it because we were able to work with our roaster, and he was able to knock the price down way like a lot, because of he figured out a different way to infuse the CBD into the coffee. So that's really
awesome.
And
our roaster has promised me that he's going to be on the podcast very soon. So awesome. You're going to want to meet him and hear his story.
Yeah, he's super cool.
He's a genius, and he's a really cool guy.
He is a genius.
And so, and he keeps telling me that he's going to be on, and he will be in the studio, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be another groundbreaking event.
Yep. And then there's Lion's Mane coffee. And also there is the native brew, which is just a mixture of different stuff. Oh, the native mud. Sorry. And that is really, really good stuff. So go check it out. Go check out thetexasboys.com. We love supporting the local community around us, and that's the best way to support this show. But all right, let's go on to the verse of the day.
Verse of the day. Verse of the day is Psalms 2:11-12. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. So we need to serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. You know, in modern Christianity, in postmodern, post-truth Christianity, there's very little fear of God. There's very little trembling. There's lots of stuff talking about love is love and all this stuff. And there are lots of people that misrepresent what the Bible says, and also what is coming in the very soon to maybe near be future.
Yeah.
You know, God is coming back, and he's not coming back happy.
He's not happy.
And he's coming to settle all accounts and make everything right. So I thought that verse was very appropriate.
Yeah.
And it fits what we're going to be talking about today. So that is the verse of the day.
All right. So what is the article of the day?
So I always want to thank our subscribers. We talk about our viewer mail segment.
Yep.
I didn't have any viewer mail, but our one subscriber, Mike, that y'all, if y'all have hung around the channel, y'all have met Mike. He's been in some of our videos, but Mike sent me this article.
Yeah.
And I just thought that this was such a salient, pertinent article that was so incredibly interesting. And this is from today. And this is Newsweek. And I love the title. Undocumented immigrants, formerly known as illegal aliens. So undocumented immigrants have rights to own guns. Judge rules. A judge sided with an illegal immigrant on gun charges that resulted from property protection and self-defense. Oh, this is so great. This was in Illinois. Okay, so if y'all hadn't had a chance, an opportunity to listen to the entire interview I had with Alfonso Luna, Alpha Warrior, you need to stop right now and go listen to that. If you're not subscribed to the Fearless podcast, you need to subscribe, because the video version we put out was just the first half of the interview. So if you want to hear the whole interview, you're going to have to listen to the audio only format over at the Fearless podcast. But on that podcast, we learned that in Illinois and California, illegal immigrants can now be law enforcement. So those that are outside of the law, above the law, around the law, that have not conformed to any part of the law, are now going to enforce the law. And a lot of that's kind of tongue in cheek, y'all, because we're really getting into this
very thick irony there,
realm of law and law not maintained or enforces lawlessness. So you have this lawless person that's somehow supposed to enforce the law
that they broke.
So in greater Singapore, would an illegal immigrant deport someone? That would be ironic. And they would, if they had a beef, it'd be very similar to our current fleece and the revenue generators that I get really annoyed, even, and I like our local law enforcement, and I appreciate our cops in our local little sleepy town. I get really annoyed when I see cops sitting in speed traps. And I'm gonna rant. This is gonna be a great rant for everybody.
Okay.
How about when cops park in the center turn lane? They are creating, first off, you cannot park there. Nobody can park there.
Nobody's allowed to park.
And cops aren't above the law. So if you don't have a valid reason, and now look, if you're handling biz and your lights are on and you're doing something, Cool.
Cool beans.
Don't be sitting in the middle of the turn lane with no lights on or whatever, just because you're trying to speed trap people.
Yes.
Or you're trying to generate some revenue. That's totally abusive, inappropriate. You have no legal reason for being there. And we could even get into all the vernacular and legal and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm very libertarian. I want to be left alone, but I'm reasonable, man. You can talk to me. Like, I don't just gotta be, I'm not one of these like anti everything or whatever. I'm reasonable and I understand. Just like we need a border, because this is what's really interesting when you get into illegals having the right to own guns.
Okay.
Because a lot of these guys couldn't have guns in the country that they were seeking asylum from or whatever, and they come here. So, okay, let's read the article.
You know what's also really funny too is that these same people that will pass like gun bans and stuff like that, and like red flag laws and stuff like that, and then they're going to be like, oh yeah, but the illegals can have the guns though.
Exactly.
But those Americans that were born here, y'all can't have guns.
And that's what got Alpha Warrior. They got him on a red flag deal, and they got him on they called it air quotes. We all know what rifles are, and we know what aren't assault rifles. And they called his California state issued rifle an assault rifle, and that's what they got him on, even though it was a state issued rifle that was issued to him by the state of California for the job that he was performing. So that's why we don't want any of this legislation or regulation. We don't want any of it. And if you want further proof that we don't want or need any of it, illegal immigrants have gun rights. So there's that. So you could have this code book that's 30 miles thick.
Sure.
And illegal immigrants have gun rights according to a judge. So like, it kind of doesn't even matter. But anyway, a judge this month dropped gun charges against an illegal immigrant in Illinois. And Illinois can hire illegal immigrants as law enforcement. So if you live in the state of Illinois, I really want you to reconsider the fact of, why do I live in the state of Illinois? Okay. Hopefully it's not just a matter of time, but sparking further debate about the rights associated with the Second Amendment. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon, there you go. Sharon Coleman of the Northern District of Illinois referenced lower court rulings in dismissing firearm possession charges against Heriberto Carbala Flores. Who was illegally or unlawfully, or both, I would say they're the same, illegally and or unlawfully in the United States when he possessed a handgun in a little village neighborhood of Chicago on June 1st, 2020. The court finds that Cabala Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of a weapon, as well as the nonviolent circumstances of his arrest, do not support a finding that he possesses a risk to public safety such that he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self-defense. Now, if you're curious of why I was
Second Amendment
kind of like goofing on the pronunciation, that's a goof on the Mockingbird media, how like they'll just be like reading their teleprompter.
Oh, really?
And then they go full like either whatever, Russian or Spanish or whatever mode, and they act like they're like a linguist fluent in that language. So that was just a goof, y'all. For every now and then, people don't get my jokes. So, and I really don't like to explain myself because it kind of hurts, and it kind of what it really does is it takes away the humor.
It does. Yeah, exactly.
Which makes it not as enjoyable. But sometimes I just feel the need because some people are, the thickness of their cranium, it's a lot thicker. And so sometimes it's necessary, unfortunately. But this is postmodern, post-truth 2024. And I've kind of come to, terms with it. So every now and then, for the sake of y'all, I digress. Okay.
So this is back in 2020. That's crazy.
So she said that the court finds that Carbala Flores' criminal record contained no improper use of a weapon, as well as the nonviolent circumstances of his arrest do not support findings that he possesses a risk to public safety such that he cannot be trusted to use a weapon properly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self-defense. So, if the Constitution is the founding document of America,
yeah,
and it applies. So if Carbala Flores was deported back to his country of origin, could he take his handgun wherever he got it? I'm sure he got it legal. Have any of y'all ever purchased a gun from a store?
They don't just hand those things out.
I would imagine,
especially in Illinois.
I can't imagine in any way how he obtained this firearm legally, and I'm using that term legal in the largest, most liberal way,
because he's illegal, so of course he would want to legally get a handgun, of course.
Yeah, I think it goes without any type of logic, thought, reason. I would say, relatively speaking, it would be totally and completely impossible for him to have legally acquired this firearm. So now you have a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, a whole nother side to it. Yeah.
But according to Sharon,
you're terrible.
According to Sharon, Sharon's cool with it. Coleman, who was appointed under President Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro.
Sorry, don't have a soundtrack for him yet.
We don't have,
but it would be Michael and I.
We still don't have Michael and I.
It'd be Michael and I.
So Barry Soetoro, in her 8-page ruling filed March 8th, Carbala Flores was charged under Title 18 of the U.S. Criminal Code, which legally disallows. I love the way that they have to word this stuff, y'all. Title 18 of the U.S. Criminal Code, which legally disallows undocumented individuals to possess firearms and ammunition, or to receive any firearm or ammunition which has been shipped or transported in interstate or foreign commerce. So, if any of y'all listening are from Illinois, I really need you to comment. I really need you to contact us. The first thing I want to say to you is I'm sorry.
Deeply.
I'm sorry you live in the state of Illinois. And I will pray for you that you can get out as soon as possible. But if you are, for some crazy reason, maybe you enjoy the pain and suffering that Illinois brings. No, I'm joking, y'all, a little bit, just a little
messing.
Bit. I'm just messing a little bit with you. But think about it. Consider.
Think about it.
You can leave, but
for now.
But reach out to us. I'm curious to. I'm rather certain how difficult. I'm sure there's probably like a waiting period and all kinds of cool stuff. But I'd be really interested to hear some feedback from anyone from Illinois. So, and I was going to make all kind of funny jokes about make sure you use proper spelling and all that stuff, but I'm not going to do that. No, I love Illinois. I love all 50 states. So
You love all 50 states?
Sure, why not?
Woo.
Okay. A customer shops for a pistol at Freddie Bear Sports outdoor store in Tinley Park, Illinois. An illegal immigrant recently had his gun charges dismissed. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the caption under the photo.
Oh.
Yeah, I took off the ads and it inserted that. I'm sorry, that's the caption. Okay. I'm like, oh, this is going to explain.
I'm like, dude, this
He
is going
bought
to be
it
good.
yeah.
I'm like, this is going to
No,
be cool.
my bad.
Never
My bad,
mind.
y'all.
We don't have that type of info.
The defendant, who contended the firearm was possessed for self-defense and protection of property during a time of documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020, has never been convicted of a felony. He's talking about all the BLM stuff.
Oh.
Which was another fabrication of goodness. What do you mean civil unrest? You mean the peaceful protests that were taking place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the spring of 2020, has never been convicted of a felony, a violent crime, or a crime involving the use of a weapon. There were myriad protests across the nation that spring following the May 25th killing of GF by Minneapolis police officer DC, who was later sentenced to 21 years in prison. Poor guy. Carbala Flores has consistently adhered and fulfilled all the stipulated conditions of his release. The ruling says, adding that he is gainfully employed and has no new arrests or outstanding warrants. The court previously denied 2 motions by Carbala Flores to dismiss charges. The first time was on April 13th, 22. The second on December 19th, 22, about 6 months after the Supreme Court voted 6-3 to strike down a 100-year-old New York law requiring the individual show proper cause to get a license to carry a firearm outside of a home. Stemming from a 22 ruling in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association et al. Versus Bruin, Superintendent of New York State Police. That ruling was brought to the higher court after being challenged by the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association and gun owners Brandon Koch and Robert Nash. We hold that when the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in the court's majority opinion, to justify its regulation, the government may not simply posit that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, the government must demonstrate that the regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. And I think if we are going to conform to the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulations, I think we should also conform to the nation's historical tradition of what a northern boundary is, what a southern boundary is, and what a citizen is, and what an illegal immigrant is.
Yeah.
In May of 20, because words matter and time matters. You can't just redefine things, regardless of your new world Oxford English dictionary that literally says, like, we define the world for you, because this is literally how it works, y'all. They go in there, they change the definition.
Yep.
And now, we have the world that we have. In May of 23, U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of gun control advocates in Illinois and denied a request for an emergency injunction against the state's ban on the sale and new possession of semi-automatic firearms. The request was made by the National Association for Gun Rights in response to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed legislation enacting a statewide ban on assault-style weapons, including limits on magazine capacities.
Uh-oh.
So I guess JB wants to take all the guns away from any natural born citizens or any law abiding citizens, or against that includes all the taxpayers. It's very difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult if you are an illegal immigrant. It's very difficult for you to pay any type of employment tax. I don't know if you know this or not. It's very easy for them to get state and federal goodies, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it's very difficult for them to pay.
And weapons, too.
Yeah, apparently.
Easy. Yeah.
Apparently, it's very easy for them to get guns.
All of it.
Those who are here illegally cannot possess a firearm of any kind that is obtained in a legal fashion, political commentator Jay Oliver told Newsweek via email. There is a civil duty of gun shop owners, if by that route, to lawfully indemnify those who are trying to obtain weaponry of choice by cutting corners. Unfortunately, we have seen too many trends where innocent lives are being lost based upon the progressive nature of those in charge of courts and opinions. So, yeah, that's the article, y'all. I would love to hear your take and feedback on this. I would love to, if you live in Illinois or maybe recently were able to escape Illinois, I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback on all this. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it is very kind of post-apocalyptic. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, you really do have to laugh because it's the law has decided that, the court has decided, the courts enforce or uphold the law. Right. And so the fact that it's hard to verbalize, because you're an illegal immigrant. So who you are, not as a human being, but who you are as a person relative to the United States borders, you are one of those people that should not be within the borders. But then because you're within the borders, somehow you have the
Second Amendment,
God-given rights. Yeah. Which all men do have these God-given rights. Yes. We hold these truths to be self-evident, right? That all men are created equal. If
you legally enter into the country and become a U.S. citizen.
Right. But this is what the crazy conversation that's going on social media.
Okay. I haven't heard any of the buzz.
If we hold these truths to be self-evident and all men are created equal, and if that illegal immigrant is just as equal to me, is why can't he have a gun? Right. And to be really super honest, if we're going to have a really honest discussion, I'm cool with him having a gun. And I'm dead serious. If they would allow everyone the same right,
sure, heck yeah,
I'm totally fine with it.
Sure.
But when it's rules for me and not for the,
it's when you American people, we're going to take all the guns away from you, but these illegals, they can have guns, and undocumented guns too.
Yeah, of course. This gun was not.
You want a handgun? Legally. Sure. Yeah, you can have it right there.
And I don't, and once again, if it's me,
an armed society is a safe society.
Right.
So if we all equally have guns, then it's going to be like, okay, if that guy decides to go do something stupid in public,
there are 10 good guys that can stop him. So if he needs to be stopped, sure. Maybe he is just working a job and minding his own business, and that's cool.
Sure.
And maybe he was just defending himself, and that's cool too. Yeah. And even throwing around the term legally purchased firearm. I'm not advocating for any kind of process or any kind of registration or anything like that, because it always gets convoluted.
Yeah.
And the state of Illinois wants to take away and ban semi-automatic rifles, but
Mhm.
if this guy was defending himself with a semi-automatic rifle, that would probably be cool too.
Mhm.
You know?
Oh,
He was
yeah.
defending himself with an illegally purchased. Well, he was illegally here, which,
Yeah.
for those of you that don't understand the space-time continuum,
Mhm.
like, it's not like, well, it was illegal when he crossed this artificial line that we call the border,
Mhm.
but now, he remains like
Illegal.
everything about him is illegal.
Yeah.
So in essence, literally everything he's doing is obviously breaking the law,
Mhm.
because he's, besides the fact, I mean, and we could get really theoretical here,
Sure. Sure.
but once again, like, if we could just get consensus and say, yeah, look, the guy was defending himself, and so he has the right to have a gun. Okay. So then that's the way it is for everybody.
Everybody.
And some people get like really
Exactly.
geeked out, and they're going to be like, oh, well, what about the insane asylum people? And what
Sure.
about these people
Sure.
with previous records?
Sure.
But see, all of these stipulations and caveats are always, bad guys always
Will
have
always
guns.
have the
They
guns.
always get them.
They always
Always.
will. Always.
Always.
Period.
Every time.
Mhm.
Every time a bad guy shoots a good guy.
Go to any third world country that has banned guns. I mean,
every
yeah.
time a
The
criminal,
mafia always will have guns.
it's always like a one-off when a bad guy commits a crime or kills somebody with this legally purchased firearm, whatever that means.
Yeah.
We're using lots of terminology that that one, they have redefined, and two,
Sure.
they want to continue to redefine. But and in a postmodern post-truth world,
Mhm.
we could never get a consensus or just like a standard application for anything. So I'm asking for something that's impossible. But in a general sense, like, I'm not even upset that this guy has a firearm to defend himself.
No.
Good for
Not
him.
necessarily. Yeah.
But we need to stop. It's so amazing, and the libs are so insane that it has nothing to do with rights. It has nothing to do with laws. It has everything to do with agenda and virtue signaling. And as long as the agenda is being carried forward,
because that's the whole point. None of this crap would be happening if they wouldn't have came into the country illegally. So now these stinkers get in here illegally, then they get guns illegally in here, right? And then now we're going to want to try to pass some type of laws because of these illegal guys came into the country and now they're have possession of illegal guns, so then us, the people that have been here and are legally in the country, now we have to deal with all these new regulations that they're going to pass, or come up with.
Right. And he was probably packing a Fast and Furious gun. Then you have that whole entire parallel to the whole thing where, but yeah, it's just amazing how, if it conforms to their narrative, and this is why the whole collapse the system, the whole Saul Alinsky, this is why it has to, the left commie agenda has to eat itself. And you can watch it, right? Like, oh no, well, this guy's an illegal, so we can't pin this gun charge on him.
Sure.
So we say that he has the right to own a firearm and defend himself, while they're trying to take away firearms from the rest of the state of Illinois.
Sure. Yeah.
And and they use them as a tool for leverage, right? And when the time comes, that dude will be disposed of.
Yeah.
He will be completely disposed of because now he's no longer a useful idiot.
And I think it has to do with also like this whole like reprogramming too. It's just like the YouTube algorithm and what not to say, and rules for thee and not for me, and you'll see bigger YouTubers post these videos, and then you go and try to talk about it, and then you get banned, or get a strike, and you're like, wait, but I just said the same thing that he did, and or he went even into more detail than I did, and I was trying to be vague and trying to, watch what I say and self-censor, or like I was trying to follow the law, but this illegal came in and did the same thing that I did, and I got a life sentence in jail, and it's upside down and backwards clown world.
Yeah, it has to be completely arbitrary. It has to be completely arbitrary. It has to be undiscernible.
Yeah.
Because part of the process, I think this was 2018.
Yeah.
Of a Build-A-Bear, where they have the Build-A-Bear meetings and all that stuff when they build a bear. And 2018, it was post-truth. It was like living in a post-truth world. That was the topic. And the only way you can create this post-truth of where you've been psychologically shattered to the point where you reject reality. Like how do we, seeing is believing, right? Like Missouri, the show me state, right? No, not in a post-truth world. Like you can't believe your eyes. Everything CGI,
AI,
everything AI, deep fake,
Photoshop,
real time.
Yep.
And it's those exact same psychological
Super Bowl
components.
status. Yep.
Yeah. Super Bowl, halftime, satanic worship, and all that stuff. It's all done in real time to make you question yourself about what is
reality.
And I mean, read that article about an illegal immigrant owning a gun,
trying to wrap your mind around their legal talk. It just is so clown world. It's just like,
how does an illegal immigrant have a legal right to anything? They're not, it becomes difficult. It becomes word salad, really.
Yeah.
Just trying to discuss it. And, but if you are from Illinois, or if you have any feedback, or, any ideas on legally purchasing a firearm in Illinois, I'd love to hear about it. And I would also, if you know where Carbala Flores legally purchased his firearm, that'd be great to know. Maybe,
there you go. Get some more backstory.
About that. I'm sure there's not. I'm sure there's no backstory.
I highly doubt it.
And but so that's really all. Did you have anything else you want to talk about? I do want to also remind you, right now is the best time to get your fruit trees, and
definitely
foodforestnursery.com sells bare root fruit trees. If you use the code TheTexasBoys10 for 10% off, now's the time to order them. You'll get them in time to get them in the ground. And our trees and raspberries are going nuts.
I don't know how much Food Forest Nursery is selling their trees for, but all I know is I was at Home Depot yesterday, and they wanted, for this little tiny peach tree, they wanted $36 for it.
Yep. Well, I do know for a fact that they're, depending on which variety you get, they're cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Over at foodforestnursery.com.
Because I'm like, $36 for some little tiny peach tree.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah. And all the trees I got were like a minimum of about 5 feet tall. So I was very impressed with the quality.
And if you've been considering planting fruit trees, do it now, because every year it will only get more and more expensive as this crazy clown world, inflation and everything, and supply chain stuff. So go ahead and do it now, and you will be thanking yourself years down the road when these trees are just pumping out the fruit. And but definitely get your research on, do your research. We have several different videos, lots of we have a good playlist that you can go and watch. I think we have a food forest playlist.
Yeah.
And definitely do some research, but don't be scared to just jump headfirst into it and just start planting some fruit trees. Even if a couple of them die, you try, fail, adjust, and you will learn something out of it. So there you go. I think
agree,
that's the end.
That's it. That's the end, y'all.
All right.
Hey, y'all. One last recommendation. Stay fearless, my friends. See y'all.